I believe that nothing extraordinary happened to the team. There was nothing that was not expected. So I would say what happened to the Black Meteors was a reflection of what our football has been over the years. Generally, I don't think that people should be too, worried, and people should be very much surprised that the Black Meteors exited the tournament in the group stage at the hands of Guinea. This is something that's been happening to the Black Stars, to the Black Saddick, to the Black Queens, and it's across board. So, it's a general disease that has affected us for all these years. And I truly said it on radio like 4 days before, 3 days ago, before the game, that Guinea will be a very tough opponent for us. So nothing happened. They are just part of a rotten system, just part of a collapsed system, and we seem not to embrace, like yourself, myself, because if we think that something is fundamentally wrong, I'm not sure that anybody will even ask what happened. We will just be thankful that we even qualified for the tournament to partake in this one, because a lot of the national teams don't even qualify. We are struggling to beat Central Africa Republic, Comoros, Madagascar, Niger, Ethiopia. So nothing exceptionally wrong with what happened in Morocco last night. It was expected because we have been this for almost a decade now.
And Saddick, how did we get here then?
By failing to plan. I believe that we had a very good smoke screen, and that's what we've used to. We have, a cover. We've had a facade. The building, it looks very nice at the outside. So the facade has always been the World Cup. That's what's been holding Ghana football for some time now. The facade is always the World Cup. You people watch globally on the World Cup and see Ghana there and think that everything is well. And then the World Cup is also a package. You get players from other leagues who have been born there and trained there, and then put them together, try in the qualifiers and pay money to players. The highest of all on the continent, stays after winning bonuses, and let the players in each match change the selection, let them play and sell their hearts out and take winning bonuses and appearances, get to the tournament and get embarrassed. That's been it. So what happened is that we over-concentrated on assembling players who were not trained here for World Cup matches, and then neglect the entire fundamentals, neglect the grassroots, neglect everything that will near to our benefit in the long term. So people would see Ghana football on the global scene at the World Cup, that this is a country that has been ever present at the World Cup in the last few years. Then at the end of the World Cup, all the players will disperse. We hire physiotherapists, we hire psychologists, and pay them sometimes $50,000 for 2 weeks just to pretend to be working, having a functional football system. We assemble a team of over 20 technical staff, backroom staff to the World Cup, and pay them over $400,000, so that the people we will appear to people as if we have the fundamentals right, and at the end of World Cup, disperse them and go. If we have $9 million, we just have to blow the entire $9 million within the 2 weeks of our participation at the World Cup, and come home to a very deplorable league, a very horrible pitches, very embarrassing officiating, a very weak and less competitive football. And these are generally from grassroots football to the apex. So what happened wrong is that we failed to plan and then pretended to be working by over-concentrating and over-investing in the national team Black Stars, and use it as a facade or as a smoke screen to deceive people that there is football in Ghana. There is no football in Ghana.
Breaking it down then, what do we do? Coaching, player selection, how do we arrest the situation then and get it right?
We just need to embrace it We just need to admit. And the admittance is not coming from only the football fans. The admittance should come from the football authority, people who have the mandate to change it. If they don't admit, and you know for sure that 90% of them don't admit that Ghana football has fallen off deeply than we all expected. If they don't admit, how then you cannot sit on radio and fix it? You can only sit on radio and share your observations like we are doing. The people with the mandate to fix it don't even see that there is a problem. So the first thing is to let the people in charge accept that this is where we are, and to be able to climb up, this is where we have to start. If they don't accept, no breakdown, no fixing of the fundamental, no solutions will work, because people can only apply solutions when they think that something is wrong, when there is a problem. They don't accept that there is a problem. And whatever happens now to you and myself is that we can enumerate and recollect the teams that have fallen off or exited tournaments embarrassingly in the last 1 or 2 years, from the AFCON at the hands of Comoros, to the CHAN at the hands of Niger, Madagascar, and to the AFCON qualification at the hands of Central African Republic and Angola. And we come to South Africa, struggling to beat South Africa to the World Cup, struggling to beat Nigeria to the World Cup, and then Zimbabwe and all these countries. If we accept that we are no more a football nation, then that admittance should come from the head of football and his executive, and they should proffer solutions, or they should be ready to accept solutions or consult with people, solicit for solutions from people. If we put forth the solutions that we know, and the people in charge think that, no, there's no problem to fix, what becomes of your solution? Otherwise, the best thing is to pause now, because when you are driving and you realize that your tire has got a puncture or there is a problem radically wrong with your car, what you do is that you pull on the brakes, you pause, and then start to reinvent, start to think of what is wrong. So we need to pause, but they will not pause because they are on a high horse. They don't see what we see. So once we pause and start to fix from the basics, where is the money for this? Where was the World Cup money? The money that CAF sent for grassroots football, where does it go? The money that we generate from sponsors for this, where do we put up? Let's make sure that the money that we get is able to fix in the places where the problems are. Then we start with coaching, because we have very poor coaches in the country, generally, very poor coaching. And you can see that from the Ghana Premier League, where it is very difficult to identify a pattern of play in a single game. Nobody is interested in watching. You pass behind the Accra Sports Stadium on Sunday when Accra House of Folk are playing, and there are more people feeling comfortably relaxed at the Osu Cemetery than enter the Accra Sports Stadium. People are no more interested in watching football, and they find solace sleeping at the cemetery than going to the stadium, because they don't see the need to watch. There's no excitement. So we have to reinvent. We have to revolutionize the game from the basics of fixing pitches to going to invest in the Ghanaman Center of Excellence by selecting the right kind of players. One of the biggest things, I know that is a quick fix now. In the short term, what we may be able to do is to get honest people, devoid of agentism, agents inviting players or agents pushing their players. You saw the center backs yesterday. You saw our wing backs. Some of them are people that if you Benghazi decide to train adequately for 2 weeks, can be at the center back. And I mean, these are
I'll play far better.
You play far better. These are Ghanaian players who cannot put passes. I'm not saying they should score. Who cannot string passes among themselves in 2-3 seconds. They cannot even trap a ball. How did they even get to the national team? We have the talent in abundance, but to get the right kind of talent in the national team as a quick fix or in the short term is to have people who are honest and say, this is a national team selection committee all of us here are making this selection devoid of our personal interest. And that's the only thing. I'm sure that there are so many problems that we want to fix. And it doesn't require too much money to start. It requires the political will to start. And if we don't, we will get embarrassing standing. And it will get to the point where we will not qualify. Some of the teams have already gotten there. Under 17, under 20, Black Queens and all that. We have gotten there. Very soon the Black Stars will get there. And they will get there when we are unable to invite the Inakis, the Kare Clantes, and whatever that we know. If we don't get Kamaldin, if we don't get Kudus and all those people who have been trained by foreign hands, we cannot even play. And this is the point that we got into. Very soon, the Black Stars will get there. Won't qualify for World Cup, won't qualify for AFCON, and they won't qualify for anything, and we'll be here.
It's even worse because, like you said, it's all over, all our national teams, and even club football. I don't recall the last time a club from Ghana did anything better on the continent. And
I initially told you then that there is no football in Ghana. Whatever is out there is an assembly of people who have no things or who have no connection or link to Ghana in any way, or some 10% connection to Ghana. That is what we put out there and portray to people that Ghana football is on the rise. But actually, the rotten part, the very rotten part is what we have at home. So people at home, those who watch football are those who are outside the country, Ghanaians who are interested in watching Ghana football. They see that Ghana is playing at the World Cup or the Under-23 Championship. You and I can be bold enough to say that you did not watch 20 of the 34 Premier League games that we played in Ghana. But previously, you will be eager to watch 30 games in the Ghana League. I can be bold enough to say that even you as a journalist, you don't bother yourself to watch the league on TV when there is another game that's being played in another jurisdiction. And that is a fact because we all don't see the league. There is nothing to watch. In the league, the clubs have, it started from there. We killed the local competition by over-focusing the investment in the Black Stars and the other teams. So there was nothing. We cut the supply to the local league in terms of human resource. We put everybody, including supporters of the local league, we put all of them behind the Black Stars. Supporters, the staff, the finance of administrators, management committee members, we staffed all of them behind the national team and cut supply of quality human resource to the league. Everybody wanted fake dollar. Everybody wanted a word of what is being said at the national team. So we cut the supply of quality people, then quality investment, quality attention, and we killed that. So the last time a Ghanaian club would make progress to the CAF Champions League was way back in 2006, before Bekum Chelsea entered in 2010. Briefly, that's all. There is nothing extraordinary about the league that we play in Ghana. So if you talk about football, locally, it's non-existent. What we watch now is brief, and fleeting performances of the national team. One good performance in 2 years, and that's enough.
Saddick, yes, we know there are people who are in charge of football in Ghana, like you said, people who run football in this country. But some way, somehow, all of us are stakeholders, including our reps as in government. Can we not do something, or we need to just be sitting and watching those who are directly in charge to do things their own way? Can't we come at the point to get things done right and demand the right things are done?
When people are outside of the powers that are mandated to act, the people who are outside feel eager to change, and they don't have the power. The only thing that happens is that they topple the government when they are outside. So you and I, the only real change we can bring is when we can effectuate a coup d'etat. That's all. If you think that we can do a coup d'etat, that's it. Because you, Benghazi, you have been talking, writing, and if anybody thinks that whatever you are doing is enough to change, they would have called, or they would have, solicited for opinions and said, come in and help if you think this is working. Nobody in Ghana here can overlook the fact that journalists have consistently, not all journalists, but some journalists have consistently enumerated and said there are problems with Ghana football. But when you are outside and you think you are a stakeholder, it's only being called a stakeholder, that's the label or tag. You are not really a stakeholder when your opinions do not offer any sort of change to the system that you want change. That's my opinion. I don't know why you hold though, but to me, if I'm a stakeholder and I continue to talk about a particular problem for 10 years and see no action, I don't see myself as a stakeholder. I'm just a trifling member of the community. No real change can come from my end unless the people in charge are ready to. And that's even with government. In general, if the government intends to do something and people in the country think they are stakeholders, they can talk and they will say power resides in the sovereignty resides in the masses or the people, and the people don't have the real sovereignty, because even though they hold the sovereignty, anything they say doesn't even bring any change. It's only the few people in power who can bring the real change. So whatever we say, we are only offering our part of the stakeholdership that you think we have, but it doesn't bring any change because the people to implement them are in power. Talk about government. See the appointment to the ministries and national sports authorities and everywhere. It's all political. There are people who you heard the deputy minister talking about the investment in sports in Morocco, and it was clear that he was very disassociated from the fact that
he's a deputy sports minister.
Yeah, he's a deputy sports minister, and the first time he is being initiated into the fact that sports has become science was in 2023 when he visited Morocco. He was shocked. He was dismayed that they had all this, and he doesn't even know that that is the base, that is the fundamentals that we need to do. He didn't know. Then he didn't even know that he was not mandated to travel there as a deputy sports minister. What was his reason for being there?
Going there for what?
Going there in the first place. He didn't even know that the minister's role is not to follow national teams. The minister's role is to draw policies, and he can only travel there when there is something that is of urgent or something that relates to the state, because he is a representative of the state, not football. So if a minister of state travels with under 23 team and goes to see some of these policies and facilities and is shocked, it tells you that in the first place he is uninitiated into the fact that this is what we need to do, and he's shocked, and he's even there when he's not supposed to be there. So you see the kind of appointments, and you see the kind of, it's not his fault. He doesn't know. He's been put there. So it means that since he came into power, these are not things that he has suggested or put on paper, that we need to construct a national facility. And I'm going to draw a policy to the government that we have to invest in this. He's not done that in the last 5-6 years that his party came to power. So what's the point? You understand? So from the top, you call yourself a stakeholder, then that is the key stakeholder. Being completely ignorant of the fact that this is what we need to do. Then you come to the minister himself, you come to the chief director, you come to the National Sports Authority chairman and board director, who are all there, as I heard. Then you come to the DFA and the people, president and the executive. These are the people who can change it. When you went to the World Cup, you were on radio and TV talking about what we need to do with the $12 million that will come from the World Cup. What has that become of? Do you think any of your opinions is seen as sensible enough to transform football? The money has been shared. So you are a stakeholder who is only talk and bickering. You are only a songbird. You just listen to you fleeting voices and go. Nothing really changes. So call yourself a stakeholder, fine. I call myself, but I think that I don't have the capacity to change when power resides in the few people you are giving the mandate. And without them, nobody will click on the plug. Talking will not click on it. We need to start revolutionize the game from the basics. And if they don't think that that is the way to go, you can only talk and call yourself a stakeholder who doesn't really matter.